Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and I'm here today with a video that I've been promising to make for a very long time and I've just got around to doing it, so I apologise for the delay on that one. So what I want to do is I want to show you how I make my texture tools, texture boards, texture mats, whatever you want to call them. I never know what to call them for my Gelli printing. So I'll give you an example of the ones I've got. And I've had a few people ask me and I'm like, they're really simple to make, but I thought, let's show you a video just in case someone doesn't understand it. So these are just recycled packaging. Well, there you go, that looks like it was off the back of an art pad. And I've got these things that I use them and I press them down on my Gelli plate. Sometimes I'll then transfer that paint to another project or another Gelli plate or print it across, and I use these all of the time. Now when I first started making these, I love this one. It's probably one of my favorite ones. I need to remake that one. I didn't really have a large Gelli plate, but since making these, some of these are my favorites. However, the trouble is that they're too narrow for my 12 by 12, and this one especially needs a bit of an update. So I thought, right, let's make this one again. I mean, I don't even know how big this is. How big is this? This one's probably about 14 or 15 inches long, but it's only about 6.5 inches wide. Well, I've got a 12 by 12 plate I use all the time, so I want to remake this one. I'm going to keep this one obviously because I can still use it for projects, but this is what I'm going to show you how I make, or what I make. Now, what do I use? I'm doing a 12 by 12 because I've got a 12 by 12 plate, so I like to make them bigger, because that way if I've got a 12 by 12 I can do the entire Gelli plate, or I can do sections of the Gelli plate or edges of the Gelli plate. But if I've only got a small one, let's say this is my Gelli plate and this is the size of my mat, I'm struggling then slightly trying to get it in without leaving lines on, and so I'm trying to transfer all of my smaller designs into my bigger designs, not getting rid of my small ones. They have use when I'm using my 5 by 7 on my smaller plate. So I tend to pick up recycled packaging. So when everything arrives in this house, if it's got, this is grey board to me. I think you guys in America call this chipboard. It could be corrugated card. It could be, get a couple of cereal boxes and stick the card together. There's usually packaging somewhere. Another one, if you're someone who's got a kitchen shop close to you, cake decorating boards or cake decorating cards are inexpensive and they're another thing to use. So we're going to be building onto this. So let's talk about what I use. Where have I put it? Okay, I use fun foam. Fun foam, which I actually buy from my inexpensive store. It's either the Pound store or the Works here in the UK. It could be any store you like. You can get fun foam in the kids department, and you can get it in A4 pieces, or I think that was cut from an A4 and I think this was an A5 multi-pack, and they're literally pence or cents. They're not expensive at all. The reason I like using these is they're waterproof. Also, they're all uniform in shape, so whatever I cut from them is going to be uniform in depth. Also, they're really easy to cut. Now, there are a few. Let's come in. Let's look at these. Okay, this one, I cut all these just with a regular craft knife. I put this on a cutting mat, cut my shapes out and I stuck them down. This one, again, I just cut strips out of just cut strips out of it. This one I literally marked out and cut diamonds. This one I think I used dies for, and this one I definitely used a die for. And using a die is my preferred method. I have tried putting this through a craft punch. Sometimes you can get it into a craft punch, but usually this width is just slightly too big for a craft punch. But then I find that when I use a craft punch, it more tears than cuts. So I prefer to either cut with a craft knife or a sharp blade. I cut with the scissors, or my preferred method, as I said, is I like using a die cutting machine, and I have a Big Shot. Big Shot is just a manual die cutting machine. I use it a lot. So what I do is I'll take my, is that going to fit that plate? Yeah. So I take my bit of fun foam, put it down, for this, I'm just using a set of circular dies. However, you can use any shaped die that you've got. Now I'm just going to cut one load, but normally I would cut several out of here. Well, I would use the whole plate up. So put that down, put my top plate on, introduce it to the machine, give it a wind. Now if you hear a cracking noise, which sometimes you do, it's just the die hitting the plate underneath. Don't worry that you're breaking it. You hear this cracking sound. That's just the way it is. And then what I do is, there you go, I have perfect circles cut out, and I could never cut a perfect circle by hand, I can assure you. So when I do go hunting to buy dies, I've got a selection of dies. I tend to get dies that are basic shapes because I find them the most useful thing for labels or plaques or stuff like that. Things like this, I can always use this in mixed media after it's all cut through, but to be honest with you, that's how I make my shapes. So the majority of the time. Right, let's take the big shot out of the way. Now I've already made a couple because I've been revamping some of mine, so I already have my circles already cut here. And I did find a die that did strips the other day, so I was able to cut strips as well. So I'll show you what I made from those after I've made this one. Hang around and you'll see the stuff I made, because I've made another 3 besides this. Let's put that to one side. So now I want just a random arrangement on this board of these circles. If you wanted to deal with something that's maybe larger circles graduating into smaller circles, no one's ever going to see this. Get a ruler, draw a grid on it, do whatever you need to do to make it actually work, but don't get so hung up, because sometimes if things are too uniform, they don't look man-made anymore, or woman-made, whichever it is. Right, I'm using just matte Mod Podge. I think you could use matte medium for this. Or just another glue. Now this is coming to the end here. I do have another one here just in case I run out, but I doubt it. So, and I'm quite liberal with my Mod Podge, because the Mod Podge has a couple of uses. First of all, I'm using it as a glue, and it's eventually going to waterproof the pieces I'm stuck on. Although I'm not really worried about that. And the reason is that when I first use this, you're going to find, because these are porous, that maybe you won't be able to transfer as much paint or take as much paint off the surface you're working on. However, as soon as you start using it, as you'll see by one of these, it builds up a layer of, well, I use acrylic paint, so it builds up a layer of acrylic paint, so it actually then just waterproofs it anyway. But I don't know why Mod Podge was the first medium I sort of used to do this, and it works. So why fix something if it's not broke, as the saying goes. So anyone who knows me knows that whenever I'm doing anything, I do tend to turn the book or the journal or the paper that I'm working on, just so I don't get to the point where everything is so uniform, because my OCD wants to line stuff up, and I don't want to line stuff up. So let's stick this down right. I'm going to be quiet for a second, because I think I might fast forward this bit, so you'll see me doing it, but you don't really need to see me doing it in real time. It's a bit numpty, as I would call it, isn't it? And it's just a bit boring. So I'll start talking again and slow the video down when I get to the point where I need to talk to you. So hopefully you're all having fun out there. It's an incredibly sunny, warm day. Actually, it's Good Friday today. I'm not sure when this is going to air. As it's a kind of a bonus video, I'll be slotting it into the launch or the published schedule when I see a place where I'm like, oh, it could go really nicely by there. So, right, that's pretty much it. Just, you'll find that the fun foam sticks down really quickly. I think it's because of its absorbent nature. I could get quite obsessive about this, so I tend to try and work quickly. If there are any bigger patches like this that are creating ridges on the grey board, I'll just use up any spare Mod Podge on my brush and just tidy it up a bit. So that's what I do. It also, just in case anyone's thinking there's a relevance to the colour, no, it can be any colour you please. It doesn't matter what colour fun foam. Now, if you haven't got access to fun foam, you could use a craft punch if you were doing layers of card, and then you could stick those layers of card together after you've punched out, and that way you wouldn't need a die cutting machine. You just need a craft punch, and you wouldn't need fun foam because you could just use layers of card stuck together. Definitely at that point though, seal your elements with Mod Podge or some other sort of matte medium, just so that you could even use gesso, I suppose, just so that the card pieces don't get wet when you're using them and then soak off or buckle or anything. So there you go. I'm going to leave that, and that will be fine. I won't be showing you that again. You'll see it when I use it in a video, but let's take a look at a couple of others that I've made recently that I'm looking forward to using. So I went in and I cut a whole load of strips. Now, I like this one purely because I can use it like this, but if I press it this way, then turn it this way and press it onto the gel plate again, I will end up with a grid effect. Also, if I just wanted to press that much into my gel plate, I'd have a contemporary skyline. It's things like that that I like to create. I was saying about drawing a grid. Well, I drew a grid for this one because I wanted these to be, I don't know, it reminded me slightly of like an electronic motherboard for something. So I thought I quite like this one, but I wanted everything to be horizontal and vertical and parallel to each other. So yes, I did go in and I drew the grid on this one. I took some of the spare pieces. What I did was, if I had this hole cut out of here, I then put a bigger die over it and cut a bigger size around it, because I thought, okay, I'll use that. I have got one already that I've used many times, wherever it is, that one, but I wanted to have one in a 12 by 12. So this is me signing off until next time. I will use these in some future Gelli Plate play, and when I do, I will link the video back to this video. And if I remember, which it's a bit of a challenge for me some days, I might actually link this video to the video that I use them in. So if you look in the description box, which is, I think it'll be a little grey V that you see in that corner, or there may be the words read more. Click on that and it'll drop down. The link will be in there. As I said, when I filmed the video where I've used them, I'll link it in here, but it won't be in this description box until I've actually made a video. So until next time, guys, this is me saying goodbye. I'm Ceri, that's C-E-R-I, and I'm Ceri the Crafter. Bye-bye now.